Hey, Shatia, my name is Callie Hansen. I'm in your Counseling 546 class. The second part of this discussion post is to respond to a few of our peers. And since you were one of the first people that post and you just did such a good job, I wanted to say, hey, and just give you a little bit of feedback and pull out from what you've talked about and put in what the professor wants us to add in. So you talk about the stigma in the church. And I think that our textbook talks a little bit about that in reference to what we can do to combat that. And I think there's a lot more stigma still today in the Catholic Church and in the Jehovah's Witness Church. They view it different than our secular world, and oftentimes in our Christian world, our Christian family. I know that in the past, Christians were pretty bad about this. If you would sin less, then you wouldn't feel that way. You had a miscarriage because you sinned and you didn't believe in Jesus enough. But I think more contemporary stigma is if you would just trust Jesus more, you would finally be cured of that depression. If you would just lean into Jesus, pray a little bit harder, pray a little bit longer. I think we in this class at this point know that we do need Jesus, point blank, no questions asked. But we also sometimes need counseling to act as that crutch, to act as that catalyst, to get us to where we need to go. So that leads me to the professor's prompts. He says, hey class, if I don't get to you, make sure you answer one of these questions in the response to your peers. So I picked number 7 to sort of tie into what you were talking about with psychopathology, the stigma in church. So number 7 says, the practice you work at is called I Love Jesus Counseling, smiley face. Probably why I picked number 7, because there's an emoji in it. The owner has Christian artwork and books everywhere around the office, and a client comes in and says they want nothing to do with Christianity. But this is the only place that his insurance will pay for within 60 miles. What do we do? Considering what you're talking about with the stigma, considering that there is so much judgment surrounding mental health, what I would do is the same thing I do when I teach. I am not a preacher. So when I teach, I don't necessarily get up there and give a sermon, but I definitely talk about, I'm going to pray for you. I believe in neurobiology because Jesus is real. And I make light of it, but I've had a lot of, specifically my active duty soldiers that enroll in my classes. So what is this going to be, like going to church 5 days a week? Well, yeah, of course. I make it a joke. How I approach the question proposed in number 7. How do I get my students to stay in my classes? How am I going to get my clients to come to me, even if they don't want to be slapped upside the face with the Bible? I'm going to make it lighthearted, because the light that Jesus gives me, I can pass that on to my clients, to my students, and hopefully, without turning them off from anything more, I can give them a little bit of peace that I know. That's how I would approach it. I would love, even in a private message, to hear what you have to say about what I've talked about, what you think about what I've talked about. Maybe I missed the base completely. Anyways, I'd love to dialogue with you. I look forward to working with you over the next 8 weeks. Bye.